Hi, I'm Emily from Training in Transit, and I'm going to teach a 30-minute stretch and release class. This is my cat Chance, who's decided to join us as well. So keep in mind, first and foremost, it's very important that when you're stretching, your body is warm. Okay, so we're going to give 5 minutes to our body just to get it warmed up a bit. Another thing to keep in mind is that it's really ideal if you have the choice to stretch in the evening as opposed to the morning, due to the fact that your body temperature rises throughout the day, and that makes it a little bit safer to also stretch at night as opposed to the morning, right? As I was just saying. So keep that in mind too. As with anything, breathe, listen to your body. If something doesn't feel right, back off of it a little bit. Try it again. If you have any injuries or anything that you know would be counterproductive to your healing, don't do it. Be smart. I trust you know what needs to be done. And with that, let's get started. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to go onto my mat. Oops. And I'm going to lay on down. The feet are flat on the floor. Abdominals are drawing in. And we're going to lift the hips up to the ceiling. Roll through the spine to come down. Rolling up. Keep the abdominals pulled in and releasing down one vertebra at a time. I'm sorry, the cat might just be in our way here and there. Notice I'm rolling through, I'm undulating up and down through the spine. Breathing, inhale and exhale. Just to loosen up the back and also to warm up the back of the legs. We're certainly going to spend plenty of time stretching out the hamstrings. And releasing down. Let's do that about 5 more times. Rolling up and releasing down. Now, why do we need to warm up for stretching? A lot of people wonder why. Well, the reason why is because your joints are cold. Let's stay here and hold the position. Hold and tighten. And when your joints are cold, everything is sort of stiff, right? The ligaments, the tendons, the synovial fluid that's inside those joints is stiff. But as your body temperature rises, they soften, and now it makes them more pliable or stretchier. And that's important to stretching. Yeah, you should start to feel the back of the legs a little bit. Because otherwise, we're pulling on these tight ligaments, and you can actually injure your ligaments and tendons, right? And what our goal is to stretch the muscles, not to hurt our ligaments and tendons or joints, right? And therefore, you want that body to be warmed up. Let's release back down. Hug the thighs into your chest, and let's circle the legs around. I have one hand per knee, as I circle the legs within the hip sockets. And let's go the other direction now. Allow the pelvis to kind of naturally walk as it needs to right now. Cool. I want you to flip on over. If you're very new to exercise and core training, this you'll do on your knees. Just like this, it's a plank position. Okay, we call this high plank because the arms are straight. All right. Now, if you're more advanced and are used to doing planks, you're going to straighten those legs. And we're holding. This is really going to help warm up the body. It takes a lot of effort to do a good, clean plank position. While you're here, you're really pressing the ground away. Try to make space, not just in the wrists and the elbows, but in the armpit area, in the shoulders too. So you're pressing the ground away. You're lengthening up to the crown of your head. And you're pulling the belly button into your spine as much as you can. Now, I also prefer people to count their feet together. So I'm squeezing my inner thighs together and on the balls of my feet. That is if you have your legs straight. If the knees are down, I still want your knees together. Yeah? Keep breathing. Big inhale and exhale. One more time. Big inhale. Exhale. Bend the knees and press back into child's pose. You should still feel that your body is warming up versus cooling down. Let's come into our cat-cow position. We're in a flat back quadruped position. And as we exhale, you're going to round the spine. You're sending the chin towards your pubic bone. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, bend the elbows, drop the ribs towards the floor and look up. Go back into neutral, flat back. Exhale, round up. Flatten out. And exhale, release. And straight spine. Exhale, round. Draw the navel in. Forehead to pubic bone. Straighten up the spine. Bend the elbows. Looking up. One more time. Exhale, round. Inhale, fold. Here's my other cat named Sheena. Arch. And back into neutral. You're gonna walk back out into your plank or knees down plank and hold. Super long spine. You're reaching out through the crown of your head. Reaching out through the heels in the opposite direction. Again, pushing the ground away. Make sure you're not locking up the elbows. The elbows should be just a tad soft. Keep drawing the navel into the spine, up towards the ceiling. And bend the knees and press back into child's pose. Flip the palms up so you can release your wrists a little bit. Okay. We're going to lay on to our back. We're going to move into some stretches. Here we go. Now, you do want some type of a tool. I'm using a Pilates ring. You can have a belt. So if you need to grab that really quick, go ahead and do that. You can also use just any kind of strap. It could be a really long piece of ribbon. Anything that you can actually hook around your foot and be able to lay flat on the floor so you're not crunching in the neck. Anything like that. That's the reason behind this little tool, okay? So, let's go ahead and get our feet into a neutral position. And then you're going to straighten your right leg up in the air. Let's flex the foot and hook your foot with whatever object it is you have, whether that be a Pilates ring, like I said, a belt, anything like that. And I want you to hold the sides. You're going to be holding the sides if it's not a complete circle like mine is. Okay. And I want you to feel that the femur, your thigh bone, drops heavily into the hip socket and into the floor. You're just hanging out. Now with the knee bend, it's not as intense of a stretch on the hamstring. So for those who are very, very tight, this is the gentler variation to go with. However, your pelvis is not as neutral as if the leg is stretched down onto the floor, which is also a more functional position. So I always encourage people, even if they're really tight, to try to go to a straight leg on the floor if it's possible, okay? Now, whatever you have, strap or whatever, place it higher up on the ball of the foot. So that way you can flex and point the foot. Right, so hopefully you can see that movement in my ankle now. It's just called flossing. And what that does is helps to release the hamstring a little bit more, okay? We're hanging on, we're flossing. Sounds funny, but you can floss a lot of places in the body besides just the teeth. If you're curious, you can look up flossing stretching, let's say, flossing muscles in a Google search later if you're interested to learn more about what that means exactly. All right, I'm going to stop the movement in the ankle. I'm going to take my left hand, I'm going to continue to hold either two straps or whatever, or the opposite you have, and I'm going to take the right hand on the floor. Now, I want you to push the pinky toe to the ceiling, which means my right big toe is now moving towards me more. So my pinky is higher than my foot. It's higher than my big toe. Boy, I gotta get this right. Now I'm sending my leg a little bit over to the left side of my body. I haven't let this hip bone come off the floor. Now I'm gonna pull up diagonally slightly. So I'm kind of going towards my left shoulder here, okay? Diagonally. And I'm holding that stretch. You're gonna notice the stretch changes, kind of runs down the side of the leg a bit more. Just breathe. Really, if you're fighting to keep the leg straight, that's okay. Really do work hard trying to get that leg to be straight and breathe. Be careful of holding tension in the shoulders and arms in your attempts to get a straight leg, okay? And if you really, really, really need it, again, this is an option, but I encourage you, like I said, I do encourage you to try to get towards this position, but maybe you aren't able to do that today. All right, bring your leg back to the center. Bring your foot back into neutral. Bend the knee into your chest. Give a nice big hug. If you want, you can put your object, your tool, whatever it is, you can put it down on the floor and just hug that knee into your chest. And like we did earlier, I want you to circle the leg in the hip socket. Just loosen up the joint, get some blood flow back in there. Good. Keeping the same leg, you're going to brush the leg up off the floor and bring it down. And 2. And 3. Using the abdominals for soften at the front of the hip as the leg comes up. 2 more. One more time. Lower your leg down, shake out those legs. It's time to go on to the other side. We'll start with the right knee bent. And you extend the left leg up in the air and you're gonna hook the foot. Yeah, so hook on the foot. Just like we did on side 1. And you're gonna make sure that the thigh is really dropping down to the hip joint. You're feeling heavy in the back of that left hip. And just appreciating the stretch right now. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy yet. And now if you're able to, lower the right leg onto the floor. All right. Now we're going to move into flossing, so adjust the strap as you need to. And we start to move that foot up and down. Breathe. It tends to hurt a little bit more once you start moving that ankle. And you may find one side of the body to be tighter than the other. That's quite normal. Being that we have a dominant side, you're usually tighter on one side. Oftentimes you're tighter on the side that is your dominant side, and a little looser on the side that is your non-dominant side. But that is not a hard and fast rule and doesn't apply to everybody. All right. If you find the leg can come a little closer to your body, fantastic. Be gentle when you stretch. Yes, it's normal to feel a little discomfort, but you don't want to go to the extreme to the point where you tear anything, right? All right, we're going to stop that flexion of the foot, and I'm going to, what we call really sickling. I'm pushing my pinky toe towards the ceiling and lifting up the inside of my foot, so my big toe is now closer to me, my pinky toe is higher. I'm letting go with my left arm, and I'm sending my leg towards the right hip. And then I'm drawing it up slightly towards the right shoulder. So again, I'm doing this kind of diagonal movement. Making sure this hip is still down. Whew, this is my tighter side. At least in this particular stretch it is. My cat wants to give me some love. Check on that right hip. Have you added a little tension in there? If you have, see if you can release it. And lengthen and stretch through the back of the knee on the left side right now. All right, we're going to come back into the center. Hug the knee into your chest. You place your tool aside. And just circling around in the hip socket. Hi, baby girl. Bringing that blood flow back in. All right. Lower the leg on down. And lift it up 10 times. 1. And 2. And 3. And 4. And 5. And 6. And 7. 8. Solid, strong hips. No movement. 10. And shake them off nice and good. Alrighty then. We're going to roll onto one side and we're going to come all the way up. So we're seated on our pelvis with our chest upright. Okay, we're going to move into the hips a little bit more. So we're going to place the feet together and open the thighs. Now, some people are way up there, right? And that is okay. Okay? I'm particularly open in this area. Okay. So you really want to wiggle side to side, kind of move the flesh of your buttocks out of the way a little bit so you can properly sit on the sits bones here. And then you hold on to your feet. Okay. You're going to lean forward a little bit, round the spine, and roll back upright. Lean forward, round over, slowly roll up. So it's kind of like a wave. Lean forward, round over, roll it up. And then you're up, right? Lean forward, rounding over, slowly rolling up. Forward, round. Inhale, leaning forward. Exhale, roll it up. One more time, big inhale. And exhale, roll it up. On this next one, we're going to lean forward and we're going to stay there. Notice I'm opening the elbows and I'm going to press them into my thighs. So I'm using my arms, even if you're here, right? It's actually easy, right? You're trying to use those arms to help bring those thighs closer to the floor, increasing the stretch in the hips. And breathe. Okay, watch for tension that likes to build in the neck and shoulders when we're stretching. And try to release that. You can move around a little bit. As you see, I'm kind of just gently, right? We never want to bounce when we're stretching, but it's okay to, you know, kind of move around a little bit, feel it out a little bit. Okay, and you're going to come all the way up. All right, so we're going to straighten the legs out in front of us. A different way of stretching the hamstrings, which of course we were doing a moment ago on our backs, is starting in this position. So I want you to flex the feet, stretch through the back of the knees, and let's reach the arms up to the ceiling. Take a big inhale, lengthening up, reach forward. If you're able to grab the feet, fabulous. If you can't, it's okay, right? Wherever you can be today is where you are today, and maybe a week from now you're an inch further. If you have your tool, you can hook your feet, right? And use that as leverage to draw your body a little closer. I don't need it, so I'm just gonna round on over and just hold this position. Take a big inhale and exhale. And again, big inhale and exhale. Let's do that 3 more times. Big inhale. Trying to melt into the stretch with every exhale. Inhale again. Exhale and melt. And one more time. Big inhale. And exhale to melt into your legs. And slowly roll all the way up. We're going to do a little rotation. You're going to take your right foot, cross it over your left knee. I'm now going to take my left hand. I'm going to hug my right leg, placing my right hand on the floor. I'm going to lift up. From there, I'm going to rotate around to my right, towards my couch, looking past my right shoulder. Again, I'm continuously lifting up, and I'm constantly drawing my right thigh into my body with my left arm. You might notice the stretch coming up from the gluteus maximus, your butt, running up into the side of the leg a little bit. Making sure right and left hip both are firmly planted on the floor here. And we come center, shake it out, and we'll take the other side. My left foot crosses the right knee. My right arm hugs the thigh. I place my left hand on the floor and lengthening up through the crown of my head, and I rotate around to my left. Keep lifting up. Both hips firmly planted on the floor. Constantly spiraling to the back, looking past my left shoulder. I'm feeling for the stretch in the left buttocks here. Careful of too much rounding and protracting in the left shoulder. I'm sorry, your right shoulder. Keep it open. And then let's unwind that and shake it back out. All right. So now we're going to go into a little more intense hip stretch. So you're bending your left knee, okay? And I'm going to take my right foot and I'm going to cross it over my left knee, okay? Now we're going to try to drop the right knee towards the left foot. So one foot's in line with the opposite knee, and then the other foot's in line with the opposite knee as well, right? So we're going knee to foot, okay? This might be as far as you want to go. And maybe your knee is super high right now and you're kind of like this. Yeah, that's okay. If you're like this, then you just gently try to press that thigh down a little bit and get to a more upright position. If you're where I'm at with both hips on the floor and the knees pretty much opened up, you're then going to creep your hands forward. Okay. Now, I used to be much looser here, but I'm pretty tight here right now because I'm a little sore from a workout the other day. So I'm going to be more gentle about it right now. Okay. But you should certainly feel a much greater stretch here. And you might notice that you feel in both hips at the same time, but in different ways. And that is very normal, which is great, okay? All right. I'm not going to hold that for too long. Let's go ahead and take the other side. One thing I should have mentioned and I did not, and I'm going to mention it now as we switch sides, my top foot is very, very flexed. And I want you to keep that in mind. Both feet really should be flexed, but especially the top foot, because it's getting more torque than the bottom leg is. So the reason for the flexion is because the knees are in a more twisted position, yeah, it's a bit precarious on the knees, okay? So in our attempts to protect that knee, if you flex your foot, it's going to help with the torsion that is being created by the positioning here. And that's awesome, right? So flex the feet, protect the knees, save the knees. All right, so we're walking forward if you're able to. Walking those hands front. And also check, I actually just realized I was holding my leg up without realizing it, and I just let it go. See how it dropped a little bit. So check, are you lifting yourself out of your own stretch? Your body may actually be up to a little more stretch than you think. But we unconsciously want to lift out of it because it hurts a bit, right? See if you can breathe and embrace it and move into it, sink into it a little bit, okay? All right, let that go. We're gonna lay onto our tummies now. Again, have your strap handy in case you need it here. Again, I'm not gonna need it for this either, but I'm gonna lay onto my stomach. Now, as simple as it sounds, make sure those abdominals are engaged. You're gonna think of just drawing the belly up off the floor a little bit to avoid compression on the lower back while we stretch the thigh, the front of our thigh called the quadricep. You're gonna bend your left knee and grab the ankle or as close to it as you can. Or if you need to, if you're very tight, you hook your foot, which can get a little tricky. But you're trying to hook your foot in there or the front of your ankle, okay? And you're gently drawing the foot towards your buttocks. Now, as you do that, I want you to flex your foot, just like we mentioned in the hip stretch previous to this. It helps to protect the knee. Now, again, make sure you didn't release your stomach muscles. Keep the abdominals pulled in. You can relax your head down. So with the abdominals drawn in, you're pulling the heel to your butt. Now, if you're up to increasing the stretch even a little further, I want you to actively squeeze your butt and push your butt forward into the floor. So your pubic bones are getting pressed into the floor, which creates a greater stretch on the thigh, right? Increases the tension across the two joints to increase that stretch. It should feel pretty darn good. If you want to go even further than that, you can push your ankle into your own hand. Really push, right? And that knee's going to lift up the floor. Now, you're actually eccentrically contracting the quadricep as well, but it's an active stretch, and you're going to get some more length through the front of that thigh in the process. But release it if you did do that. And let's go to the other side, okay? So, now we go to side number 2. Grab your foot or hook it with your little tool. Flex your foot. Protect the knee. Abdominals are in. Keep drawing that heel towards your buttocks. Squeezing the butt, you press the pelvis in towards the floor to increase the stretch to the front of your right thigh in this case. And then if you are ready for it, you can push that ankle into the hand so much so that the foot starts to pull away and that knee, you start to lift up the floor a little bit. Make sure nothing's changed in your pelvis while you do that. And now you've got an active stretch. Release it down. And again, shake it out a little bit, okay? All right, we're going to place our hands right next to our shoulders. Turn the face down towards the floor. Feet are hip distance, abdominals are pulled in. Push the hands into the floor. Take a big inhale. Lift the spine upward. And exhale, lower down. Whatever you do, don't crunch into your lower backs. Again, inhale, lengthen out first, and lift up. Not crunching, not jamming into your lower back. Going up gently and smoothly. No pain, right? There should be no pain here. It should feel quite good. Big inhale. Exhale, lower back down. 2 more times. Inhale, lengthening forward and up. 1 more time. Inhale, lengthening out to the crown of the head, lifting up. Now I'm going to push my arms really hard and shift back into my child's pose here. And give it a stretch. Reach forward to the fingertips and send the tailbone towards your heels. My knees have separated to shoulder width, so if your knees are together, make sure you open them up. It gives an opportunity for the rib cage to drop closer to the floor. And that will increase the stretch under the armpit and the latissimus dorsi. All right, shifting into hands and knees. You're going to tuck your toes under. Now I'm going to push the weight into my hands and feet, lift the hips up, straighten the legs, and shift back into my heels as much as I can. If you're aiming to have the back straight, the heels flat. Head is between the arms. If you're really tight, you might find that you have to be further apart, and that's fine, okay? You can work towards getting the hands a little bit closer. Make sure you're not sinking in the shoulder joints, right? You're pressing the ground away through the tips of the fingers. Hi, baby. Let's rise up to the toes and lower down into the heels. So let's get a little bit of movement. This is flossing, my friends. We're flossing here too. And one more time. Step your right foot forward between the hands and lower the back knee down and release your foot. Now you're going to let that knee come a little bit further, a little further forward. It's going to pass the ankle a little bit. You don't want to get too drastic with that though, but the knee is okay to line up the tips of the toes. It shouldn't go past that. If you do, you're putting too much pressure on the knee. Okay, I'm going to shift my foot a little bit further front. And then I'm going to sink my pelvis forward towards my front foot. If you can, take the hands away. You can place them on your thigh, or you can release your hands and reach up to the ceiling. Okay? So we're opening up the front of the left hip now. If you tighten those hamstrings, you might notice that stretch underneath as well on the right side too. Lifting up, but also pressing forward and down into that right leg. Good, now you're going to try to take your right hand onto the floor and side reach to your right. If this is too much for you, keep your hand on your thigh or your arm on your thigh and then side reach, okay? And you build up towards placing your hand on the floor. Another option would be, I have this couch here, right? You could place your right hand on a couch or a yoga block. You know, there's a variety of things you could use if you're close to getting to the floor, okay? Coming back up, placing both hands onto the floor. I'm going to shift my weight back a little bit. Not so much that I'm going to go sit on my heel. I don't want to go that far back, but I want to try to straighten up my front leg, okay? So I'm keeping this thigh perpendicular to the floor. This is so that, we're being kinder to the knees. It is an option to sit your butt on the heel of the left leg, but it's a lot on that knee joint. And I'm trying to do things that are healthy for the knees, okay? All right, go ahead, tuck the toes under on the left side. Send the right foot back. And we go back into that downward dog. We're going to do the other side. Okay? You're going to go ahead and bring the left foot forward, as close to the hands as possible, ideally kind of in between the hands, and lower the back knee down and release the foot. Now you shift your weight forward and lift the spine up. Hands can go to the thigh, or arms can go overhead. I like to interlace my hands, as I mentioned before, and then we're reaching up into the ceiling. Focusing on the stretch in the front of the right hip. Continue to sink down into the hips, right? Now I'm going to bring my left hand to the floor and side reach to you guys. If you're able to, you try to get the hand on the floor. If that's too much, you can do it here too, okay? So you have those two options. Again, you could always have something low to the floor that you can hold on to as well, especially if this is something that you want to do later on. All right, come back to your previous position. One more time. Place the hands onto the floor. And we're going to shift back a little bit so we're right on top of that right leg. And I'm going to send my left leg front. So you have to adjust yourself a little bit to get there. All right, now I'm trying to lengthen up my spine. I'm trying not to round. I'm trying to lengthen up through the crown of my head. And I'm trying to send my tailbone up as much as possible, which of course creates a much greater stretch for the hamstring. All right, I'm going to shift back forward. I'm going to tuck my toes under and get this foot back there again. All right, press the hips back up. We're in downward dog one more time. Now I want you to walk your feet towards your hands. How far forward can you go without having to bend the knees? Maybe you can only go halfway. Wherever you're at, that's okay. Bend the knees to get yourself to your hands. Okay. And if your knees aren't bent yet, go ahead and bend them now. And I want you to grab your left arm with your right hand and grab your right elbow with your left hand and let your head dangle. So while you're holding your elbows, I want you to feel the weightedness
of your elbows kind of hanging out of the shoulders. The shoulder blades themselves should feel just hang. Everything's just hanging. Your head is just hanging. Really feels like it's dangling. Go ahead and shake your head. Yes. With no tension. Let it just bobble along. And let it slow down naturally on its own. Now shake your head no. And then again, let it just slow down naturally on its own with gravity. One more time. Go ahead and say yes. Shake your head yes. And let it slow down on its own. Drop the hands. Very slowly, because you've got a lot of blood in your head, very slowly start to drop the tailbone towards the floor and roll up. Head is last. Roll up slowly. One vertebra at a time. You're going to stack those bones back up. You're going to start to roll the shoulders back. Your head is still down, right? And slowly lift your head up. You should feel kind of like you're floating a little bit. I'm going to turn to face you. You have one final stretch. I'm going to send your right foot back down. Good. Really drive the heel to the floor, and you're shifting the weight forward into your left leg. As you do that, you'll notice a big stretch in the right calf. Try not to stick your tushy out here. Try to keep your butt forward, like we were doing on the floor, stretching your thighs. And let's come back, feet together, and we'll take the other side. You're going to send the left foot back and drive the heel down into the ground, but keep the weight forward on your right leg. Long spine, long body. If you don't feel a whole lot of stretch, then take that leg even further behind you, right? Sometimes it can be tough to find that balance. That's where your core comes in. If you need a little core training, check out one of my core videos. All right. We're going to end it there. Kind of come in a little closer. Thank you all so very much for joining today. I hope you've had an enjoyable experience. More videos to come. Have a great day. Bye.